Hello, Ron. It is an honor to speak with you today.
Oh, you go too far.
I'm just a very big fan. I mean, my mom was obsessed with Beauty and the Beast when I was growing up, so I've seen that probably way too many times.
Right.
Now, you have always been in these strange and unusual worlds, things like Beauty and the Beast, Hellboy, and now Nightmare Alley. What originally attracted you to these kind of stories? What films did you like growing up that got you to your weird place now?
I mean, it's you're asking that question as if I ever had any control over the things I find myself getting to do as an actor. Um, the interesting thing, and I even had to stop and write a book because I'm so struck by the fact that the things that I really began to care about aesthetically that led to my passion of like the kind of movies that are my favorites and stuff. I've gotten a chance to do those things. I've gotten a chance to do, larger than life, mythic, gothic storytelling with amazing filmmakers like Guillermo, like Jean-Jacques Hano, like Jean-Pierre Jeunet, but it had nothing to do with like me sitting there and planning on anything. It's just, it happened in spite of my love for it all, not because of it. And which makes me as fortunate a dude as you're ever going to interview. I mean, like it makes me like, you talk about cinema being a dream world and then having a dream reality spring from my participation in it. That's, you want to stop and take note of that and really appreciate that you're truly blessed.
Mhm. Well, I love that you get the opportunity to still stop and smell the roses kind of thing and just get to enjoy it because you have been very fortunate with some very amazing roles, especially like what you have in Nightmare Alley, which I loved your role, even though you were a bit scary at times.
Thank you.
Now, this is another collaboration, another team up with you and Guillermo. What is it about that filmmaker that always draws you back? Like you guys have such a good connection with each other.
I just sit by the phone and wait until it rings, and he tells me, "Okay, I got one. I'm going to do one. There's a juicy thing for you waiting to for you to swat out of the park." Um, Guillermo sees me, my kind of, I don't know if you'd call it a skill set, but my mannerisms as a human in a way that no other filmmaker has seen before, and so he's able to imagine me in roles that bring out a part of me that are that allow me to stand out
Mm.
in his movies, and he appreciates that. I appreciate that, and he keeps doing it. When he calls me for a role, I read it and I go, "Holy shit!" I can say that in this interview. Can I say
Yes.
"Holy shit"? Well,
Yes.
it's too late. I already said "Holy shit," and it's like, oh, I can't wait to get on the set and just be that guy because he's so interesting and he's got such a deliciously weird and wonderful point of view about being alive, about who he is in the world.
Yeah, and he
So
seems to bring that into his films as well, especially with the characters you get to play. Do you guys have like your own kind of language on set? Do you feel like you speak each other's weird cinematic language?
I think that, you know, it's, when you're acting and 90% of the time you're acting with people you've never worked with before, and you're hoping that they're seeing the same thing that you think you're projecting. There's no guarantee that that's taking place. They could have a distorted view of something or they could see better than you do,
Mm.
which is scary as well, because then they'll give you a piece of direction that you hadn't thought of before, and you'll go, "Jesus, I'm an idiot for not thinking of that." But with Guillermo, you know that when you're giving the performance, he's seeing it for exactly what it is. And when he gives you a note to do it again and try something different, it's definitely something you've never thought of before. And it's definitely something that opens an entirely new set of windows, doors, and leads to another layer of the behavior that defines the person you're playing. So it's an incredibly trusting relationship, because you know he's seeing exactly what you're doing and seeing it in all the ways that are meaningful.
Wow, I love that answer. That is very that was actually very like emotional at times too. That was it's just good to have that connection. Now you spoke with working with actors or filmmakers that you aren't usually working with or too familiar with. Was there someone on Nightmare Alley that you got to work with that you were dying for the chance to work with? Because you get to share some scenes with some very interesting characters.
Everyone.
Oh,
I mean, everyone in that movie are my heroes. Cate Blanchett, I never did a scene with her in the movie.
mm,
I never did a scene with Richard Jenkins in the movie. I never did a scene. The only scene I'm in with David Strathairn is when he's laid out.
yeah.
I kind of peripherally was in a scene with Willem Dafoe, but never really head on. I'm in a separate track in the movie. I did do a number of scenes with Bradley, which were thrilling, because he's a genuine hero of mine. But everyone I name are heroes of mine. And even though I didn't work with a lot of them, we hung out a lot on set because we overlapped. And I knew I was breathing rarefied air by getting to rub elbows with people who have blown my mind over and over and over again. Just as a film geek, because I'm a film geek and I see everything, and I know who I admire and who does it better than anybody else. And pretty much that cast were like, I've said it before, but they're like the 27 Yankees, which they called Murderers Row, where the pitcher just got finished dealing with the scariest hitter in the world, and the next scariest hitter in the world comes up and it just doesn't end.
Yeah, it's a good group. I mean, and I would like to think you were part of that group with Willem and Cate Blanchett and Ron. I think you guys are all this group of talented actors. Now, you said you're a bit of a film geek. Were you familiar with the original Nightmare Alley before going into this project?
Yeah, I can't remember how I was very young. I used to stay up until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and watch black and white movies. And I remember seeing this like a 2 a.m. showing of Nightmare Alley. And I was literally bowled over by how brilliant a conceit that story was, and how harrowingly interesting, juxtaposing the carnival world and these skill sets that intersect with the carnival world with something as big as Greek tragedy, where you have somebody who has a skill set that gets everyone's attention and doesn't quite know how to use it because he's obliterated the code of know thyself, and don't mistake your place in the universe. That's Greek tragedy. That's Greek. Yeah. That's Greek mythology, and that's what I saw when I first saw Nightmare Alley. And Guillermo and I talked about that a lot.
The film definitely has that quality. I kept watching people and you see them kind of go down these paths and you're like, no, I want to save you. But that's that Greek tragedy where it's always just going to end up kind of bad for them.
Right.
Now, one final question I have for you is, you've had a great selection of film roles and seems like you just kind of wait for them to come. But is there a role that you always wanted? Is there a dream project, maybe even with Guillermo, that you still have?
It's going to sound weird. I always wanted to play Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof.
I was expecting something Shakespearean or something like that. That's perfect. That's a good role for you.
Well, I always, like, whenever I give that answer to people, they go, he's bullshitting me, like But now that Spielberg has made West Side Story again, anything's
Fingers
possible.
Crossed. Fingers crossed. Well, Ron, thank you so much for speaking with me today. It was an honor. You are a legend in our industry and seem like a very nice guy. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Happy New Year.